What I think went on in 2010 was that a bunch of people leapt on the false indemnity bandwagon, and without direct discussions with me, I think surveying me inside the Downer house after what happened, but you didn't see what was going on before. What obviously would be clipped, or you'd have insisted that Roger be taken to court immediately, because him and Elizabeth Bretton, the orchestrators of this one, given what they thought about Doppelhers, seems he's dreaming of kidnapping two women, keeping them in bondage, taking them home, raping them, and lying about it. That's what they came up with about the meaning of the film. But they're not a biphobic company at all. So you know what they go is Australian friend. If you thought in 2010 you were even a friend of mine that turned up in Gavin's case, he kept turning up uninvited. He has no leg to stand on in terms of making an indemnity. These people need to be talking directly to me and about more harsh matters than them imagining one of their parents carving the face of the other one with a knife. And they need to be explicit, and they need to be direct, and they need to be confrontational. My own family in Sydney, the fucking Duttons. I'll go home and shoot another clip with my mug from Grandad, that he did prepare me for having to contest with dipshit companies. What he didn't do was represent that the best I would ever hear from any of you in Sydney is this three Westfield voucher cards for Christmas, and other than that, what? Because you saw some shit on the media too, on the religious media. Do you know if a violently treated bisexual hasn't had the chance to confide in anyone about being beaten up, and is near a Christian, a Christian woman is common to flirt with them. The Christian woman herself not knowing about them just being violently beaten up. If a bisexual has been raped and endured a sex offence, the same thing, and then goes to explain that they've just been raped to a Christian woman, the Christian woman will be aroused and hit on them, just from her sense of the Spirit. The Holy Spirit is you going, well, let's relieve, incest actually is disgusting, so let's purge ourselves with relief by killing bisexuals. That's what it is. I've told you that's what it is. I've told you that's why it was no surprise to me when fucking Father Roy got found out for what he fucking was. You know, so when they're lining up for religious media reporting people, they'll have someone raped, robbed, and cheated in their house, and then accused of a crime. You know, if you get anally raped, and then accused of being an Islamic terrorist, you're going to say yes. You're going to say yes in the heat of an unreported rape endured. So also, if you are in the heat of an unreported rape that's been endured and violent mistreatment together, well then it's just the only thing missing really is a thorny crown, a loincloth, and a cross. But you will then be and their own psychology will make them conclude the same thing. If they're healthcare officiates at hospitals, nurses, doctors who believe in the Christian poison, they'll get a sexual thrill out of your pain. They'll believe your pain to be ingenuine. They'll believe your pain to be a dishonesty on your behalf, because they haven't confronted that supernaturalism just meant shit we haven't explained yet. They'll potentially be able to experience sexual thrill on an instinctive level from physically mishandling you furthermore. They will, and all of this because, see, the crucifixion as a gift, not as something that's hated and protested and we say shouldn't have happened. Take him off his cross, respect the man's life. He barely And yeah, so Sydney relatives, our grandfather Frank assigned me to the defense of my mother and sister at age 5. He did not assign either of the two of them to the defense of me or train them in the defense of me. None of them have defended me, and thanks to what through fear and attrition they're taught to think about things like psychology, psychiatry, and Christian poison. They're even open to, despite the fact that I have no knowledge of driving, no driving experience, no driver's license, no motive, means, or opportunity, and if I'm ever violent towards someone or even too verbally aggressive for them to be comfortable in the moment, I won't experience any sort. I know that there's, I'll essentially be in a loveless state where I won't even be able to enjoy a sex dream for some time thereafter. So being alone, it's those are the, you know, your own sex dreams are the things you treasure, and you know you earn them in a sense by demonstrating your opposition to violence and violent behavior. What I see you all doing, and I'm saying it, this is what you've equated being inbred with being created in the image of a god, and your vindication, like what you stand for and believe in, convince me, or dare you to try convincing me that, see, and if Frank were alive, he would have hooned down, even after Eileen had passed, and the bunch of you, leaving the bunch of you outside to the garden to have a barbecue and bicker and bitch about people getting creamed in the press, and he would have driven down to come and see me. So I'm fucking disappointed in you, and I would think if he was here, he'd be fucking pointed in you too, because he knew my day would come to get seriously mistreated. If someone gets raped, they need to confide in it to someone they trust, and they could trust to be an emotional support. If they get raped, accused of a crime, filmed confessing to the crime verbally, but the rape isn't filmed, then if that's shown to anyone else, they're going to think that they've confessed to an actual crime. Shame on you, blah blah blah. You've brought shame on our family. No, you brought shame on the family when you fucked it in a garden, in your heads. You prevented the expansion of the logical capacity and potentials of the hippocampus, the cerebrum, the back of your brain, the brain stem. That's what believing you're inbred does. It makes you aggressive if I state a point of view like this. So what the point of this video is so that you can feel what it's like now that for all of YouTube to hear. My indemnity and trust, I give on my behalf to the handling of my Baptists and fellow artists to decide what to do. I would ask or request an American funeral. But for over 10 years, you know, legally speaking, you kidnapped me from knowing my father, my blood father, having a relationship with him. After his crime, he insisted on his own arrest. He fucking demanded it to the police. He said, arrest me now. And while you were teaching me to pray to a God who actually does murder, who murders his own son, who tells me that I'll live forever if I symbolically pretend to be eating the body and drinking the blood of this son. And you know, and so you backfire with mum going, oh, but he would drink so much. He would drink so much alcohol. I'm like, you drink the blood of a mistreated first century unrecognized first century bisexual who actually did get killed. And you Duttons, you make my mother out to be to walk about like and talk of herself and her experiences like a schizophrenic fool. Okay? Because every time she talks about Jesus' murder as a gift from the gods, then she forfeits the right to claim that her own stabbing wasn't also a gift from the gods in her face. And I think my mum has a beautiful face, a beautiful heart, a beautiful smile, and a beautiful mind. But I do think that Grandad and Eileen were a little bit too Great Depression to go, oh wait, hey, yeah, they must have been incestuous, whoever wrote this book of Genesis. Maybe they were a bit Great Depression era to pick up on that. You don't have that excuse. Okay? Have a fucking think yourselves. Stop sending me long distance surprises. In the event of my death, while you prevent me from getting to America for legal contest rights, you're to be sued by them. This fucking amazes me. I mean, Auntie Monica, you're a teacher who likes crime fiction. Now, you take a male who has not known his father. He won't get. He's already been deprived and robbed in that sense of being able to know his father. He marries into your family, and your Great Depression Frank gets his righteous Bible out and starts, you know, if you love my daughter properly by being and moral, by proving yourself a good Christian without knowing, you know, without the benefit of male role models giving you an upbringing, you're going in more or less to be bombarded and confounded with a bunch of mandates, behavioral mandates by the God of the Bible. So that statements like love thy neighbor or the golden rule, that which is repulsive to you, don't do to others, are going to be on par with the same word from the same God saying, if you pay only 50 pieces of silver, 50 shekels is all it costs to the father of a virgin you've raped, then you'll have her for a wife. Easy. You could buy a wife. You're having it said, if a woman's not a virgin on a wedding night, stone her to death. That's not a marijuana endorsement. Your entire system, you know, yeah, and you think his alcohol weighed in? No, your Christianity was too much attrition on him, that it pushed him to violent outbursts that he was afraid of committing while committing them, and I know that. I know that better than you. And being like off the press gossips is like at the dinner table. It's disgusting even by your own gospel teachings. They're fucking disgusting. So it is now a decade since I endured the most horrible form of inhumane mistreatment session that I'll probably ever know from my life. I come up to. I didn't want to announce. I refused to announce direct details of it to Granddad, though I could tell he could sense a bit of it, but I didn't want his worry. I said, no, you need to rest and just. I'm proud of you, Granddad, for what you have invested in me. I'm very thankful and I love you. The rest of you fuckheads that don't know how to ask an adult, how are you? Monica's like, here's a blanket we got for you. What is it? You were such a happy kid. Yeah, what? That's another thing too. A bisexual is in the suffering from an unreported rape. His former employer is aware of it and is suppressing it and has AFP influence in Canberra. He goes to Sydney to see the relatives in Sydney, and you know, while I can possibly excuse that my own mother is too afraid and intimidated by these people as well, she's had the guts and heart to at least assert her own judgment. You chicken shit piss ants, on the other hand, like my mum's got more balls than you, but what you do by thinking she has to respect this pathetic Christian religion is that you make life fucking fourfold difficult for Haley and I. You make her say by logistical implication that her own stabbing was the divine gift from the Lord and she deserved every second of it. I've deconverted her before. I've drummed that Christianity out of her head, and I've watched rose glow burst into the color of her cheeks and her beautiful smile come back. So, you know, if what you are is in the image of God family of incest, then Mark, go off, say good day to Mel for me, take her off to the garden for a quick fuck. Mike, Nicole and Chris, off you go and fuck in a garden, of course, in a garden. Avoid those apples, because what you do not do is stand up for the principle of what family is. So you are, you'll be studied. If any of you make an indemnity claims, if I die here, America will sue you. There are people in Hollywood that will sue you. You are not, and I'm requesting that I be buried or my ashes scattered in the States, because it's now been a decade that you've helped. Yeah. So more true to himself, though. more overwhelmed with confusion as to the question of what's going on is something that I'm saying I know as fact my father suffered from. I'm not saying that's excuses. See, this is where you'll go, oh, so now by implication you're saying that excuses the way he behaved? No, and he didn't think that way either. Like I said, he insisted he be arrested. He insisted he be arrested. When you are going, oh, video piracy, fuck. Oh, if Luke dies, we'll say it's the drugs. But fuck that we should be caught downloading. Fucking, yeah, good on you. You really know what fucking matters at the end of the day, don't you? You've absolutely convinced me now. It's been a fucking decade and more. And as you robbed me and Haley of the chance to, even in the presence of a mediating police officer or counsel, have the chance to talk to our own blood father, you instead marched me off to go and work in a chemist that is owned by a man who kills, who is also pedophilic. So what good did you fucking do me? What good does your religious filth do me? And I'm discriminating? It's not that I'm discriminating, it's that when I ask you the question, what does your religious filth do me? You're probably imagining doing me in a garden. Because you certainly don't know how to say, look, we know you're going through a rough time, but we don't understand the nature of it. Can we talk and have an adult conversation? That hasn't happened yet. You're still too into the blood of the blood spilt over a 5-year-old boy, over a 5-year-old boy's childhood. I hope you get beaten and raped. You have no grounds to legal indemnity arguments, and in the event of my death, while I've been held essentially hostage here without, it's called, I think maybe possibly colluding with the foreign government. If a business here has someone in the press portrayed as a criminally minded or a dangerous mind in another country, then the citizen who has life's been ruined but has the rights to go to that country and to now it's been 10 years. My health's had plenty of time to get worse, my physical health and my pain. I can't fucking work. I can't and will not work till this is resolved. I'm not asking for money from you. I don't want a fucking cent of money from you. I would appreciate help with you helping me get the rest of my pharmacy superannuation money out, and I'll use that to travel. But yeah, no. So bisexual gets raped, and what? It smells like, it smells like a crucifix, bouquet. Oh, how are you? So nice to see you. Oh. You know, by way of intellect and being morally confessive, my father, I think, had more integrity than you, than all of you. And I would talk this out with Frank to some extent when I was growing up, but you know, you're the one saying every killing and crime is meant to be, and it's a battle between supernatural agencies. You're non-confrontive. So yeah, and it's absolutely predictable to me that you will be going, well, oh, Luke died. Oh, that's so young. Oh, yeah, it must have been those drugs, like the apples that he put, those apples of drugs that he put in his mouth, the apples. So you're not to have a funeral or any kind of gathering to acknowledge my death, because you haven't acknowledged my life. That's legally the truth. If more controversy ensues, you know, America has my full blessing to sue this country. Anyone in this country claiming to have been a friend and a support of mine. Gavin Hepburn for false indemnity. Gavin Hepburn for Michael Szabo for representing falsely that he's a family member.